magnetism, and this is a one semester course in BSc first year or undergraduate level. Now we shall discuss today the laws of electricity and magnetism, which play a vital role in the operation of many modern devices. The interatomic and molecular forces which are responsible for the formation of solid and liquid are electric in nature. We shall also discuss the charge, quantization of charge, and the conservation of charge. The laws which govern the force between the charges. If you go long before in the history of the electricity and magnetism, in Chinese, some documents have been found and they suggest that the magnetism was observed as early as 2000 BC. In Greeks, electrical and magnetic phenomena as early as 700 BC. Moreover, some experiments have been performed with amber and magnetite in that period. In 1600, William Gilbert showed the electrification effect were not confined to just amber, but it is found in some other objects also. The electrification effects were a general phenomenon. In 1785, Charles Coulomb confirmed the inverse square law form of the electric forces, and he gave a mathematical relation of the force which are acting among the charges. In 1819, Hans Oster found a compass needle which deflected when we carry a wire near it, and that wire carrying a current. In 1831, Michael Faraday and Joseph Harney showed that when a wire is moved near a magnet, then an electric current is produced in the wire. In 1873, James Clerk Maxwell used observation and some other experiment facts as a basis of formulating the laws of electromagnetism. The Maxwell, who confined the electricity and magnetism together with the four Maxwell equations. That is, we can say, he unified the electricity and magnetism. The concept of force links the study of electromagnetism to the previous study, and the magnetic force between the charged particle is one of the fundamental force of the nature. We know that we have two kinds of charges. The one is positive and other is negative. The negative charge is possessed by the electron and the positive charge is possessed by the proton. We have also learned the charges of same sign repel each other, and the charges of opposite sign attract one another. Now here we have an experiment. The rubber rod is negatively charged and is hanging with a rigid support, and the glass rod is positively charged hanging nearby it. Since the two rods possess the charge which are opposite in nature, then the two rods will attract each other. Moreover, in the other experiment, here we have two rubber rods which are negatively charged, they are hanging. Then if they place near, then the two rods will repel each other. As we have discussed here in the previous slide, we have positive charge and negative charge. The electric charge is also conserved in an isolated system. If we have 100 amount of charge on one object and we place a second object near to it, and suppose that 20 amount of charge, 20 unit of charge will transfer or have been transferred to the second object, then the one object is considering the 20 unit of charge and 80 unit of charge. But the charge is conserved. There is actually the transfer of charge from one object to another object. For example, we can say here the charge is not created in this process of rubbing two objects, nor destroyed. But the electrification is due to the transfer of charge from one object to another object. Moreover, we have one more experiment. We take a glass rod which is rubbed with a silk. Then the electrons are transferring from the glass rod to the silk. It means the glass rod possesses a positive charge while the silk possesses a negative charge. It means we can say the sum of the electrons from the rod is transferred to the silk. But in this way, we have an equal positive charge is left on the rod. That is, we have same amount of positive and negative charges. Here we can say the charge is quantized in nature. If suppose Q is the charge and I would say Q is quantized and can be written as Q is equal to plus minus NE. The electric charge exists in discrete packets. Here, if you look at the slide presented over here, Q is equal to plus minus NE, where N is an integer and E is an electronic charge having values 1.6 into 10 to the power 9 minus 19 Coulomb. Moreover, the electron has charge minus E and proton has charge plus E. Now we discuss the conductors, insulators and semiconductors. In conductors, we have large number of free electrons in the outermost orbit and they are freely movable throughout the conductor. These free electrons are not bound to the nucleus and these electrons can freely anywhere move in the material. The examples of the conductors are copper, aluminium and silver. When a good conductor is charged in a small region, then the charge is readily distributed over entire surface of the material. If we place 100 amount of charge on a conducting sphere, suppose, then this 100 unit amount of charge is spreaded throughout the surface of the sphere, conducting sphere. That is, we can say this charge as we place immediately is spread it over the surface. On the other hand, the electric insulators are the material in which the electrons are not free, but they are bound to the nucleus. And these electrons cannot move freely throughout the material. Now the examples of insulator are glass, mica, rubber and wood. Now one more thing is that if we place a charge in a small region of the insulator, then this charge is confined to that small region of the insulator. This charge is not movable, this charge is not spreaded over the region, entire surface of the insulator. Not movable, but this will confine in that small region where we place this amount of charge. The semiconductors, now we discuss here, these are the material having properties between insulators and conductors. The examples of semiconductors are silicon, germanium and gallium. Moreover, we have more examples, carbon, also some alloys are there which behaves like a semiconductor. Then semiconductors made from these material are commonly used in making the electronic chip. We have here p-type semiconductors and n-type semiconductors. If we add a small amount of impurity from the third group of periodic table, then by doping, the resultant material becomes p-type semiconductor or p-type extrinsic semiconductor. If we add a material from the fifth group of periodic table, then we get n-type semiconductor. Now we have more examples here. Now we discuss about the charging by induction. If we suppose have a sphere and some positive and negative charge residing on the surface of this sphere. This is actually a metallic sphere, and we have a same amount of positive charge and negative charge. It means the sphere is neutral. If we carry a rod having negatively charged near to the sphere, then negative charge repel each other and the positive charge come in front of the rod. While we are not touching the rod to the sphere. This is just an experiment to understand the behavior of the charge. The electrons are neutral and sphere, the electrons in the neutral sphere are redistributed, while the positive charge are coming towards the negatively charged rod. If you look at the slide, then the negatively charged electrons are repelling. If you ground the sphere, then some of the electrons leave the sphere through the wire connecting to the ground. Moreover, if the wire is removed from the ground, then we have large number of positive charge, and this positive charge is uniformly distributed over the surface of the sphere. The positive charge has been induced in the sphere. We can say this, we have the same amount of positive charge because we have grounded. Then suppose how much electron? Now we have a question, how much electrons are moving into the ground? Suppose the 50 electrons are moving into the ground, then 50 electrons leave the positive charge behind over the surface of the sphere. If the rod is removed, then this negative and positive charge positive and negative charge are redistributed over the sphere, over the surface of the sphere. That is, we can say there is a redistribution of the positive and negative charge. While in this process, in this experiment, rod lost none of its negative charge. Now we have one more example, a similar process of induction, electric induction. If we have a charged balloon having positive charge and a wall of negative and positive charge in equal amount, as we have presented in this slide, then the proximity of the positive charge on the surface of the object and the negative charges on the surface of the balloon result in an attractive force between the object and the insulator. That is, a charged balloon will attract towards the wall having negative charge which come in front of the positive charge of the balloon. They are attracting each other. Now here, the Charles Coulomb, who investigated in the area of strength of material, structural mechanics and ergonomics, and he put forward a relation of the force between two charges. If we have two charges, Q1 and Q2, and they are placed at a distance r apart, then the force between these two charges is proportional to the product of charges and is inversely proportional to the square of the distance r between two charges. This is known as Coulomb's law. Here we have 2 point charges. The point charge refers to a point particle of zero size and it carries an electric charge. The electric behavior of the electron and proton are similar, as we have considered them as a point charges. The force is attractive if two charges are of opposite sign, and the force is repulsive if two charges are of like sign. This electric force between two charges is a conservative force. Mathematically, we can write Fe, E for electric, Fe is equal to Ke Q1 Q2 over R square. Here Ke is a constant and this is known as Coulomb constant. K is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space having value 8.85 into 10 raised to the power minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton meter square. Moreover, we have taken here charge in Coulomb, but we have here less unit of charge also. That is, charge can be taken in millicoulomb, microcoulomb, nanocoulomb, etc. And this force is a conservative and F is a vector quantity. In this slide, we have three particles. Electron is the fundamental particles, proton and neutrons. Neutrons are also have charge and mass. The electron is having charge minus 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 Coulomb and mass 9.1 into 10 raised to the power minus 31 Coulomb. Proton is having charge 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 Coulomb. In the previous slide, we discussed the charge of electronic charge. The Q is equal to E for proton and Q is equal to minus E for electron. While in this slide, we also have seen that the neutron has a zero charge, while it has a mass which is nearly equal to the mass of the proton. In this slide, we can also conclude that the electron and proton are identical in the magnitude of charge, while proton and neutron are identical in the mass. This is the force between the two charges having same sign. We have two positive charge Q1 and Q2 which are placed at a distance r apart, and the force F12 and F21. The force F12 is acted on charge Q by charge Q1 by charge Q2 on charge Q2 by charge Q1, while F21 is acted on charge Q1 by charge Q2. So F is equal to Ke Q1 Q2 upon R square, and there is a unit vector R12 which is directed from charge Q1 to Q2. We have seen here there is a repulsion between these two charges because the charges are of same kind, same sign, and there is a repulsion between them. The electric force obeys Newton's third law, we can have here F12 is equal to minus F21. The F is proportional to the product Q1 Q2, which is repulsive in nature. Furthermore, we have here two opposite charges Q1 and Q2. Q1 is positive charge and Q2 is negative charge. They are separated by some distance R, suppose. Then there is a attraction between Q1 and Q2, as we have presented a slide over here. Then we conclude that there is a attraction between charge Q1 and Q2. It is due to the nature of charge, because the one charge is positive and other charge is negative. Now, suppose we have large amount of charge distributed over the region of the space. Then, if we want to find out the force on a charge Q1, we have here a charge Q1, and we want to find out the force on this charge Q1. Then, we have a vector sum of the force F1 is equal to F21 plus F31 plus F41 and so on. If we have n amount of charges, then this equation terminates Fn1. This is the force which is acted on the Q1, and in a similar manner we can find out the other forces which are acting on some other charges. थैंक यू, आज इतना ही।